Greetings petrolheads, welcome back to Automation. Today I'm gonna be reviewing a car. If you enjoyed the following video, please leave a like or a comment, and if you want to see more in the future, then hit the subscribe button. Yes, I decided to say that at the start of each video now, because not everybody watches it till the end. So why was there no Automation episode yesterday? Because there has been an update yesterday and the game wouldn't load. It showed me a specific game error. And well, yesterday I didn't get a response from anybody, and today I got a response saying that I need to move the cars and engines folder in the documents, my games automation folder. I need to move that out of there, which means they're all gone. My list of cars now looks like this, and so all my cars and engines are now gone. Which leads me to one more question before we finally start this review. Do you want me to start another campaign? Yes or no? Oh, and I forgot. If you haven't checked out the previous episode number 185, please do so. And because there's a question to all of you guys regarding my future schedule, whether I should change it or not. And just pause this video for a second and come back later. And now that you're back, I will get into this review. So this is the K Retro, sent in by George the Greek. It is a compact car with four different actually 4 different trims. The stone is what he calls a silly concept car, and let's start with that, I guess. It's got really low spoiliness, like 3. It's also very cheap. Please don't tell me the game will crash now. Okay, there we go. Also, one thing you realize that the drivability is really low now, because everything has been recalculated, and I think drivability values are a lot too low now. Like, or how they like. Let's first take a look at what this car actually is. So this trim is obviously going to be the same for all of the trims. We have an AHS steel monocoque with longitudinal engine placement, McPherson's up front, semi-trailing arm on the rear. That's of course not the best for drivability or spoiliness, but it is relatively cheap, and it is, of average quality in spoiliness and drivability. It's not terrible, just could be better. Corrosion resistant steel is totally fine, not too expensive, and still not very prone to rusting away. Looks, well, pretty simplistic, aren't they? Especially for 2015. And like, honestly, I'm not the biggest fan of this design, because I don't know, there's just something that, for example, you could have stretched out this grill to an extent like this, so that they... Oh, actually, no, that's terrible. But you could have moved the headlights to the side. You could have added, well, not a lip, perhaps, because you don't want to lose you don't want to make your drag coefficient worse. That would also hurt the fuel economy. But it could have, done at least something down on the bottom of the front, or added a real number plate instead of this number plate holder. Also, this is a 4-door hatchback, and it only has one just absolutely tiny exhaust. I just find the looks too simplistic, to be honest, for it to be 2015. Engine. Whoa, okay. It's a 700cc inline 4 from aluminium on the block and then cast iron head. Single overhead cam, 2 volts a cylinder only. This is gonna be a really, really cheap one. Cast, so the cheapest of everything. 10.1 compression, 50 cam profile, no VVT, no turbo, multi-point EFI in 2015. Who does that? Other than Dacia, maybe. Is this a car to compete with Dacias? Like in the same price range? I'm curious now. 5,400 RPM limit. Shortcast headers. Free, not even a high flow freeway cat. Just a regular freeway and then a reversal and a baffled muffler. Bringing this guy up to 40 horsepower, reliability 75.9. Economy is actually not that good at all, 19.19%. We'll see what that does in practice. So we got a 4-speed automatic. Again, like not something you'd have typically in 2015. Open differential. Hard long life road tires, 165 millimeters front and rear. 14-inch rims, steel rims. Like that kind of makes sense. 14-inch steel rims on a small and budget car like this, that makes sense to me. Solid disc brakes up front and drums in the rear. Again, not something you typically find in 2015 anymore. Oh, but we do have a little bit of brake fade. Let's see, is it up front? It must be in the rear then. Yeah, it's definitely in the rear. But we are hurting the drivability if we are increasing the pad type. So that's interesting. Excuse me? Oh, that is the new graph that they added in the last update that I was never able to see. That is the graph that tells you the high speed steering, whereas this one is the low speed steering. Okay, I would also like to have the little S and D values for sportiness and drivability. Maybe they'll add that at a later point, but for now it's not in. We get no under tray, no messing around with these sliders because we don't have any lips or wings. And the 5 seats in a car like this, or like how do you even fit 5 seats in here? It's not gonna be comfortable for the one in the middle, I can tell you that much. Standard interior, no entertainment at all, nothing. Just you in the car. Power steering, anti-lock brakes, no traction or stability control, and to be honest, it's not really necessary on a 40 horsepower engine, is it? But stability control may be relevant if we see any major issues with the car's suspension setup. Basic safety. Okay. So we have standard springs, twin tube dampers, passive sway bars, and then a relatively normal and very a pretty decent suspension setup for ride comfort. It does not pump very much. It's also pretty, yeah, it's pretty soft overall here. We still got bottoming out, despite the fact that the ride height is pretty high. But if we increase that some more, it is gone, and we have higher drivability. Let's lower it again to where it was. And this confuses me. Why does this car have a pretty high sportiness but really low drivability value on this steering graph? Why wouldn't you set a budget car like this up for drivability, so that it's, you know, reasonably usable for everyone, so that everyone can drive it no matter what. Also, the economy is not that fantastic, like 6.58 liters. I've done better than that with like 2.5 liter turbo inline sixes or something like that. So I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this trim. It's maybe just not. It's just not refined enough. Like, of course you can go cheap in 2015, but there is a certain degree in a way you just have to kind of say, okay, up until this point and no further. Also, this only costs $10,800 without markup, considering, but still, as you would expect, this does well in most of the budget categories, even pony budget. A muscle car on a very tight budget. Now, if you could please explain to me what the muscle car aspect about this trim is. Anyway, let's go to the Loyal, which is normally the kind of baseline model. Okay, it is now white. It has another set of headlights. It has a little bumper down here. It has different tail lights, which I like a little bit more. So let's go to the engine. It is a 1 liter dual overhead cam 4-valve per cylinder aluminium inline 4. It's also got VVL, and already I can tell you that I like this more than the previous engine. But we'll see if that is actually justified, if this really does make me a little bit happier. Cast iron crank, forged H-beam conrods, forged pistons. 10.2 compression ratio is, you know, nothing out of the ordinary. 50 cam profile, 65 VVL profile to try and create a smooth torque curve. VVT intake, and he did a decent job at that. No turbo, we've seen that. Direct injection this time, finally. Regular unleaded fuel, 14.0 fuel mixture. Short cast header, freeway cat, still no high flow freeway, huh? And then 2 reverse flow mufflers. So we're making 82 horsepower. This really revs pretty high, 7,700 RPM. Then 20% economy is again not really that strong. Reliability of 74.8. Weight is at 95 kilograms. So throttle response is decent at 48.4. Again, like, let's see what that does in practice. Whoa, that is some long gearing. So it is. It's a 5-speed manual. First gear goes up to 110 kilometers an hour, and then the top speed is like 180 or something. Open differential. Hard long life road tires, 185s front and rear, 16-inch rims, steel rims. Like, going from 14-inch to 16-inch is kind of a big jump. I mean, sure, he can do it, but still. We do have brake fade on this one as well. You really don't seem to like paying very much attention to your brakes. Okay, so going any further than 310 millimeters up front won't do anything anymore. 280. Yeah. So this was at 265 and this was at 290, if I remember correctly. No, it was at It was a 285. Okay, so now we have 42 drivability. We were up to 42.4, I think, by increasing the size. But overall, like, it's not the biggest of difference, but it's just a matter of, you know, how shall we put it? Like, it's always the kind of fear of a customer if when they know that, you know, at some point the brakes could fade if I brake too hard. It's always that. No under tray, no wing angles, cooling airflow is just enough. Again, 5 seats in this small body, standard interior, basic infotainment, at least something, standard safety, and then progressive springs with twin tube dampers and passive sway bars. This one's more tuned towards drivability. I like that a lot more than on the previous one, than on the Stone. Yeah, this suspension setup is significantly changed over the other version that we looked at. The economy is not far off, actually, despite the fact that we're making twice the power and have 300cc more. Also, just the engine tuning overall is better on this one, I think. And the weight is up by almost 200 kilograms, but that is just really, it doesn't matter. How does this thing do in the market? It's a good commuter car. It's great for city eco and city. City eco, like 7 liters per 100 kilometers is certainly not bad, but I've seen better with just 82 horsepower. Let's see. How's this do? 22.7 seconds from 0 to 100. So, of course, that's a direct result of this gearing. Let's see if we can actually get it off the line. Look at that. Now it starts kind of building up the rest. Now VBL kicked in and there's 100. And it shifts into second gear and there's almost no acceleration anymore. I mean, this isn't the most powerful car to begin with, of course. But with a small displacement, high revving engine that makes like no torque whatsoever, a gearing like this is probably not the best way to go. I'm just saying. Next up is the Incredible. Yeah, me and a bunch of my friends used to have some of these, and people called us the Incredibles. But in any case, this is a very revised look here. We have a decently sporty bumper. We have some chrome in the grille. We have the same headlights as in the what's it called again? The Loyal trim. We have some chromed taillights with some white inserts and 2 exhaust tips, a very subtle lip. Oh, and up front as well. Right. The platform is going to be the same. So what about the engine? It is a 1.4 liter, you could say, inline-4. It has aluminium block aluminum silicon head, it seems, and then VVL. Cast iron crank, forged H-beam conrods, forged pistons, like all the way lowered displacement from the 2-liter block. Let's see, what's the 86 by 86? Okay, that is the maximum bore and stroke for this. We have 10.5 compression ratio, 50 cam profile, we've seen that before, but VVL profile is now 74. We have VVT on all cams, still no turbo. It has direct injection just like the Loyal, single configuration standard intake. It's now running on 95 octane fuel, 60 ignition timing, 6300 RPM limit, huh? That's interesting with a VVL profile like this. Tubular headers, freeway cat, reverse flow, and a straight flow mufflers. Oh, you have a lot of fuel octane left to work with. There we go. That would buff up the economy to over 20.6%. It would give us a little bit more power, more responsiveness, you know, everything. But it was down here at 10.5. So that is certainly something you should always pay attention to before actually finalizing an engine. Do I have any more fuel octane left? Yes or no? It has a 6-speed manual gearbox. 3rd gear is geared to 100 kilometers an hour. 5th gear is geared to reach top speed, and the 6th gear is overdrive. I like that. But maybe, like, I'm not sure about, like, the 1st gear is so short. Maybe not the most economical car. Geared LSD is kind of an interesting choice, but, you know, I'm not gonna say that it's bad. Medium compound road tires, 17-inch rims. Big rims on this guy. Alloy rims as well. 225s front and rear. Vented discs up front and on the rear as well. We do not have brake fade anymore as a result of that, even though we are running lower size of brakes. Also very sporty pad types, huh? You really want, like, this is meant to be the sport version anyway, but still it's kind of interesting here. And yeah, that is what I was interested in. Are the lips actually functional? Yes, on this one they are. Downforce under tray even. Then downforce 66 here. Some wing angles or lip angles, shall we say. More than enough cooling. Well, if we go a little bit lower than that, you can get a little bit higher top speed, a little bit better economy. But this way you have more reliability. So 4 seats only, sport interior, standard infotainment, all driver assist except launch control, and then standard safety with +1 quality. And then we have hydropneumatic springs with very low sportiness on a sport model. You gotta explain that one to me. Twin tube dampers and passive sway bars. Well, that's nothing out of the ordinary, but these springs, really? And looks like this car will ride relatively well. It'll have like short, like when you go over a bump, the bump will be pretty short, and it'll not kind of like how do I put this? It's not like on an old Mercedes or something where it just gently where the body would just gently move up and down a little bit more after the bump. No, that would not happen. This would be kind of soaking it up and it's gone like in like 0.3 seconds or so. The suspension is again very much to the sporty side, but still a good drivability value. 53.8 drivability is pretty good. And then 26.5 sportiness, you could have done better than that. Definitely, you could do better than that. I believe in you. And what I suggest is... Wait a minute, there was one thing I wanted to say. First of all, the gearing here. And then the suspension, you could go for like standard springs. Or if you really want this thing to be more sporty, Active Sport is definitely a great way to go. How does this car market? City Premium, Family Sport, and Light Sport. Very affordable, not the most competitive. At 23,300, this is, certainly relatively cheap for a sports car. Is it really a sports car? 12.1 seconds from 0 to 100 is not the greatest indication for it being a sports car. 18.6 seconds corner mile. Like, I struggled to find the purpose in most of these trims here. Especially with the stone and also with the incredible, like, it's not... You could have gone further with this one. You could have made it more sporty, and you could definitely have made this same power with better economy. Because this is still 115 horsepower inline-4 engine, and it using 9.4 liters per 100 kilometers is a little bit much. It really is quite a lot. And then last thing we have is the X Inclusive, which is a wordplay, he says, and it's kind of a luxury trim. So we have another variant of the 2-liter block, but this time it's an 1.8 liter configuration. Cast iron crank, cast conrods, forged pistons, and then 40 cam profile, 65 VVL profile, a relatively smooth ascending torque curve up to about 5,000 RPM, and then it drops off. Weirdly enough, the kind of luxury tuned engine revs higher than a sport tuned engine. Again, like, you gotta explain that one to me, but well, it is what it is. We have direct injection, again with premium fuel, 13.8 fuel mixture, 55 ignition timing, 6600 RPM limit, plus 1 quality in the fuel section, huh? I wonder what that's for. Again, a lot of fuel octane is still left on this one. Tubular headers, freeway cat, reversible mufflers, front and rear, and 21.69% economy. So weirdly enough, the engine with the richest fuel mixture is actually the most economical. 49.9 drivability, you say, then 6-speed manual. Why is this geared to be so slow? Just okay. Well, 204 kilometers an hour, 50 spacing. I will fill with that just in a second. But for now, let's leave it as it is. Medium compound tires, 17-inch rims, 225s front and rear with a little bit of offset. Alloy material on the rims. We have 6 piston vented discs up front and 3 piston vented discs on the rear with just a big enough size, no brake plate whatsoever, semi-clad under tray, no wing angles on this, like no playing around with that. We also do not have ellipse on this one, but we do have this hood scoop for whatever reason, just for shits and giggles probably. Not enough cooling airflow actually. So now we have a reliability of 71.4. If we increase this by 1 point, actually by 2 points, you get 73.1. Also more drivability. 4 seats premium interior and infotainment. So this one is actually a pretty nice place to sit. Power steering, anti-lock brakes, traction and stability control, advanced safety even. And then again, hydro pneumatic springs, twin tube dampers and passive sweepers. Like on this trim, I think these springs make sense because this is not about, you know, maximum sportiness. This is more about the comfort and whatnot, and that is where these springs kind of shine. Also curious to see why you didn't go for the active comfort springs. Ah, the drivability is lower, huh? And also comfort is lower in prestige. But then, wait, engineering time extremely high and very high is actually shown as green. Having a very high or extremely high engineering time is particularly not considered an advantage to a system, is it? It's usually, it should be red, I think. Devs, you watching? So sportiness is 0.92, drivability is 0.94 in the steering graph. We have a different setup from the other trims, I like that. And overall, on the market section, this is actually in family sport and city premium and sport budget. An affordable performance car with good drivability. An affordable performance car. Well, affordable it certainly is at $20,600. But what about the performance? 9.4 seconds from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour. With how much power? 148 horsepower. You could really improve that. Not only by doing like this. Also, you could improve it by maybe doing this. That did not do our 0 to 100 any good, but it improved almost everything else, including the fuel economy. Wait, what was it at beforehand? 9.52 liters. Which is not much more, just barely more than the Incredible, which has a smaller engine. But yeah, I mean, overall, like there's so much more room for improvement on almost all of these cars. Like, for example, always keep an eye out on your fuel octane. If this is significantly below the fuel you're using, then you can increase the compression by quite a lot until it's up there. And with the gearing, I don't completely agree with the gearing either on most of these cars. And other than that, like it's a nice try, but there's again a lot of things you can do better. So well, overall I cannot give this whole car like great marks. I'm not gonna put it in like a school grade or anything, but I think I think they're all pretty affordable and they're not that bad for the money, but they're still like even on that budget you can there's certain things that don't really affect cost but definitely affect the way these things perform in any segment, really, in any category. So hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Leave a like or a comment if you did. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.